how to make Electropunk, red drum, locked club style, you can get this full template that you just heard in the intro at the top of the description. All the samples, MIDI, presets, everything. Make sure to grab that so you can follow along and make your own track. Let's get started. So, we're starting here with the drums. Really simple. We just have a nice big kick. .808 style snare. You notice I pitched this down a bit. Because yeah, when you hear a lot of these tracks from both of these guys, you hear that. It's like an 808 snare, definitely. But it's a bit deeper and just more like visceral, right? And you get that when you pitch it down. Plus I got a little bit of drum bus on this. The thing is, all these drums are going through this processing at the end as well, which we'll talk about when we get down the list here. But on their own, they're not that processed, like the kick. Right, you're just hearing it going through that mastering stuff, which is pretty heavy. The hi-hats. So I have these two different closed 808 hi-hats. That's what these are. Right, and it creates these nice kind of like just free-flowing hi-hats. Again, it sounds like it's being sidechained. When it's not, it's just being cooked by the master. That's part of this genre for sure. Which again, we'll talk about when we get there. But that's the drums. Then we got this 808. It sounds really crazy on its own, but when you hear it in the whole track, and when you hear it again with that mastering stuff, kind of pushing it against the other elements, it fits perfect, right? So what we're doing here is it starts with this operator patch. If I turn off all the sounds here, this is where we're starting. Yeah, so it's this like almost kind of farty 808 made an operator. Right, it's just some sine waves. There's a little bit of FM from another one, and that's detuned a bit to kind of make it wobble a bit. And then the pitch envelope is what creates the like actual pitch hit. You can see I've got it pitched down a little bit as well with the transpose over here. And then it's going into this low pass here, which has an envelope on it, kind of making it drop down. And then it also has the sine shaper and some filter drive. I got that on the SMP setting. The only other thing with that is the high resonance. That's a big part of the sound. Especially as we go into these other things here. You're basically creating like this 808 with a lot of resonance, and you're kind of playing with that. And that's what creates the sound, right? So then we go into this low pass filter. Now this one has two envelopes on it. I've got this one envelope MIDI over here, which is set up like this, so it just goes kind of like a simple one, very similar to what was on the operator patch. And that's just on the frequency, right? So every time we hit a note, the filter is just going to open and then close according to what this says. Really simple. Then we have another envelope over here, which is on the resonance. And then a few things over here that you'll see. And what that's doing is it's got this little bit of attack. So it's kind of like after the initial hit, see, the resonance jumps up. So it kind of like starts really low. Right, and then it kind of like goes out like that. So that's the low pass filter, which then goes into this amp. Right, you can hear that's also got that same envelope on there. You can go into the envelope MIDI here, and you can put it on multiple different things. So you can see I've got it on the dry wet of that, as well as the gain. So those are going up with the resonance, and you can hear that really bringing out all the resonances on the two filters. And that's how you kind of get that like into the note that you hear in a lot of this stuff. Then finally I got this saturator at the end, which is on medium curve. Which you can hear just really brings out the distortion. And that's how you do the bass. It's really not that hard, but you just notice like it's just getting like the right note. Like if I pitch this up a little, I guess that's cool too, but it works really, really well here. So then we got this little vocal stab. It's literally just this longer vocal. I'll play you. It's kind of corny, honestly.
We all know you've got.
It's just one of these random vocals that you end up having like in different packs. I just took that one piece of it. You can see it's pitched up a ton, right? It's up pretty high. And it's just a little short section of it. Then we got it going through a hybrid reverb. Which you can hear gives it a really nice texture because it's the spring reverb down here. That's just straight out of that. And then we got this amp here. And if you put that after the reverb, you get a lot of this electropunk kind of texture that you want. So I definitely recommend playing with that. Then we got this little synth line. So yeah, this has no MIDI on it because it's being sequenced with this SQ sequencer over here. This is, you should have this like if you have Ableton 12. It's just this Max for Live thing, and what it does is it just throws notes into whatever you have after it. So what I've done here is I've got everything on the default setting, except I hit this little dice down here on pitch. I'll duplicate it and I'll show you how you can do this. Basically, the way that I like to use this thing is just by literally randomizing everything. Like you can randomize how many steps you have. Right? You can randomize the pitches. You can randomize the octave. Right? And so you can get these really, really cool sequences this way. So that's what I like to do. And then you can even go crazy. Like if you think about this in like a more modular sense, you can even put the scale and kind of use that like a quantizer after it. Right? And make it in a key even if you want. But yeah, in this case, for this kind of stuff, I just wanted this crazy techno sequence. So that's what we got here. Then for the actual sound, so this is what it sounds like just straight out of Operator. It's honestly pretty noisy. It's this FM patch, right, where we got the first sine wave really short like that, so you get the pluck. And then we have these detuned oscillators on top of it that are at different octaves. They're just sine waves, and they're just FMing that. But because they're detuned heavily, like if I put it on just normal, right, now you can hear it. But if we put this back, it's a really good way to get that like freaky kind of like not perfectly pitched sort of thing. Then I got this corpus. There's a few things in here. The main thing is, so it's on the membrane mode as far as like which one of these it's doing. You get very different sounds. Right, I liked membrane here. I brought the inharmonic all the way up. Right, there's by default. So it's really bright and you can really hear it. If I bring... Right, that's what we're getting straight out of Corpus. And then the biggest thing with this one that really brought it to life is this MIDI input here. So you click that, like by default it's going to look like this. Click that little arrow, and then you can tell it where it's getting its MIDI from. I gave it this track, right, 6 Operator. So it's taking the notes from the sequencer over here, and then it's moving the frequency of the corpus, like the transpose, with that. So if you get rid of that, right, that can also be cool too, but as far as like this thing, you get this really cool sequence. And the thing is, this isn't going to be perfectly tuned to what the operator's doing. Plus, the operator's so detuned anyway. You get this really cool thing. You can see the transpose jumping around. You can even do this too. You can see it'll chop off with each note, but I thought this sounded better this way. And then this just sits, again, it's all about that master processing, which I'll show you in a second, but this just sits with everything. And it almost becomes a bit of like percussion and a synth line. Plus when you get to the part where you take out the bass. So yeah, we got that, and then we get these little vocal stabs. So it's basically two that are kind of working together, and they're really spaced out, right? Like if you hear it with the metronome. So I got this scream, which just plays here. It's just two separate octaves of it, but you get kind of cool sounds that way. And then this one, which just has no reverb. Right, and it just plays once every 2 bars. And then having the contrast there where one is super reverbed out with this hybrid reverb, and it's a cool one with some texture. Right, it works really well together and just jumps into the track. I've got a bit of amp on this one too. Right, very important for these kind of sounds. This is definitely what these guys are using too. Like, it's not just normal distortion, it's like amp simulator sounds that give you that kind of very textured distortion. Now the last part, and arguably one of the most important, is going to be the master processing. So you've heard this the whole way through, but check it out what it sounds like without. We are clipping, that doesn't really matter here. And then with. So yeah, I'm usually not one to advocate for this. Like, I really think that it's important with 99% of music on earth. It has to sound good without the master processing, and then it'll sound better, especially for things, you know, like trance or cleaner techno or stuff like that. But with this genre, the only way to sound like these guys, or to get this like electropunk sort of feel, is a bit of master saturation and then just like pushing it with a limiter, right? Even though it's already clipping into the limiter. Because that's what's compressing it all together. Right, you don't get that kind of like fake side chaining thing. And then also, obviously, like, I looked at some of these guys' tracks, they're never clipping. Like, even though it sounds super clipped out, they do master these, and they do have it hitting 0. It's not going above. So they're definitely doing it this way with the limiter, or maybe, like, you could do it with the soft clipper even on here. Right, in this case, I just like using the limiter. You could even fry it more with the saturation. I mean, that sounds good to me for electropunk, you know? If you were like a real savage too, you could even go and do some stuff like maybe even put like an amp on the master and just use a very small amount of dry wet. And you hear it really glues stuff. Like when it's all going into that like really character driven distortion, it just all gets like the same texture, and so it makes it all really nicely glued together, not just in a compression sense, but like texturally all the sounds sound like they come from the same place. So yeah, master processing, very important for this genre. And that's gonna be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments. If you want to see more electro and electropunk and stuff, definitely let me know. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this template at the top of the description on my website. Make sure to grab that. You know, I really don't make a whole lot off of YouTube, but with these packs, I'm able to keep going, keep showing you guys this stuff every day. Plus, you can get a nice template and get going immediately to make your own electropunk track. Thanks for the support, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.